Hello everybody, welcome back. It is I, Scorpio Caesar, and today I decided to take a trip to the video game store in Wilkes, PA once again, and I wasn't alone this time. I brought my cousin Vinny.
What is up, members of my collector corps? It is I, SuperMarioZilla, or you can obviously call me Vinny.
Right, SuperMarioZilla and I decided to hit up the video game store in Wilkes, PA, like I just said. And we had a game plan. I knew what I was going to get, he knew what he was going to get. Were we successful or not? Well, you will find out. Welcome to the C's Arcade.
Get ready.
We decided we were going to take this trip probably later on in the month, Monday, tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
But I decided to play hooky and take off work because I was just tired. Basically, they're all week and I needed a little break. So what better break to take on in this beautiful day, beautiful weather, and hit up the video game store in Wilkes, PA, because it has been quite a while since we last made a visit there. Last time we went, I didn't really get much, but Vinny made out like a bandit. He bought... What did you buy last time?
The last time I bought the Sega 32X and Doom for the 32X.
Yeah, so Vinny went in there with more cash than I did, obviously, and he ended up buying a 32X, complete in its box, too.
Yeah.
And
the cables and all.
Yes.
Even the adapter accessory that's needed to play it on the Model 1.
You did not pay $20 for that.
No, I did not.
The price label says $20.
For what?
The 32.
Oh, no, that's not 20 bucks.
That wasn't 20.
No, that was like fucking
Dog.
What?
How much did you spend on it?
170.
Oh! I went in knowing what I was going to get. He went in knowing what he was going to get. And I would like to say that we were pretty successful. Now, here's some footage of the video game store. I've made a video about them previously in the past when I picked up the Sega Dreamcast before. And in that video, it looked pretty much the same this time. But these video game stores, it's always hard to tell what's new, what's not new, you know, what inventory is changed. Because inventory in stores like this is always changing. And you're going to see here that I got some more footage. Thankfully, the employee there was the same employee that I met the first time I went there and picked up the Dreamcast. And he was kind enough to allow me to film in the store, just as long as he was anonymous and not on camera, which was perfectly okay. I didn't want to get him on camera if he wasn't comfortable with it. So it was nice to get that footage again. As you can see here, everything. The store looks great as always, and it's always exciting to see what the deals they have. And, well, we did some pickups, man. We got some crazy things. So now with all that out of the way, now that you've seen what the store had, what did I get? And what did he get? Well, we're going to start off with Vinny. Vinny, what did you get? Because I think yours is a bit more impressive, honestly, if you ask me. And it was definitely a little bit more pricier than what I got.
It was pricier, but in my opinion, it was worth it due to the condition it was in. So what I got was the original DMG-01 model Game Boy, complete in its box. It's missing the link cable accessory and also the rechargeable battery accessory, but it does come with Tetris and also the manual that it does come with.
You mean the AC adapter?
Yeah, the AC adapter.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It had its foam and all, like here, you can see the manuals and stuff. And you might be wondering, wait, where's the Game Boy? It's right here. I already opened it.
Yeah, so he opened it up and checked it out. I gave him some batteries to check it out.
To test it, and the box came with Tetris, which works great. And I also got Mega Man on the Game Boy. So
is this your first time ever holding the original DMG Game Boy?
This is my first ever time holding the original Game Boy, because I only had the Game Boy Color and the Game Boy Advance growing up. My parents did not have the original Game Boy, and I did not have the original Game Boy. So yeah, this is my first time ever holding it and actually playing it.
Oh, that's sweet.
And it's a nice novelty, because even though I didn't have the original Game Boy, I did have some of the original Game Boy games.
Yeah, they were all backwards compatible, so...
Yeah, I technically did have some experience with the Game Boy. It just was not on the original handheld.
You see, I started off with the Game Boy Pocket, so even I missed out on the DMG model. I think at that point, yeah, it actually says 89.
Okay, so it was released in 89.
So that's pretty sweet. I'm gonna close the box.
It was released in 89, so it was just beginning its life cycle.
Check that out. My only experience with the DMG model Game Boy was my cousins used to own it. I had a Game Boy Pocket at that point. I think I even had a Game Boy Color already. But they kind of had their old DMG Game Boy thrown in their toy bin. And I just kind of picked it out and I was like, hey, can I have this? And they were like, sure, why not? And it was missing the gray screen cover here that protects the actual screen, as well as the battery cover on the back. So I didn't really think much of it, and at the time it just kind of got lost with all the rest of my stuff, and that was like my only experience with it. Now, seeing him pick this up, I was actually distracted by some other games that I was looking at, and I heard the price. Vinny, how much did you pay for this?
Well, I know people are going to say, oh, you shouldn't have paid that much, but I don't care. It was $250. But considering the excellent condition this and also the console was in, because the console works great, in my opinion, this was worth it, because you wouldn't see anything of this condition on sites like eBay for $250. It will usually be like $300 or $350.
Yeah.
So to me, it was kind of a steal.
That, and you also, you support the local game shops as well, which is always good.
You gotta support local game shops. Not to mention, there's something special about going in that store and picking it up physically yourselves rather than waiting for eBay or Amazon and shipping.
100%, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's just certain things that you'd like to walk into a store and purchase, and that is definitely one of them. And
Absolutely.
I'm kind of jealous that he actually has it, because there's something about the box art alone that it just screams like late 80s, early 90s, and it just has that cool factor to it that unfortunately kind of died after the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And you don't really see that kind of art anymore. And it's unfortunate, but, well, if you grew up in the 90s, you grew up in the best era, I always say. So.
Yeah.
What year were you born again?
I was born in 1998.
So he was around the tail end of the 90s.
Yeah.
So you got a bit of it. You kind of got...
I got a small bit of it.
A very small bit of it. You got some of the early 2000s carryover that I like to call.
Yeah.
But, oh man, the 90s were the bomb.
I can tell. Like, I can tell it was.
If you were around back then.
You know what? It's fine because even though I was born in the late 90s, my family introduced me to a lot of 90s stuff.
Which is like natural.
Yeah, because remember I told you this. I didn't tell my audience this. My first ever game console was the Sega Genesis, and I played a bunch of cool games on there, including the Sonic the Hedgehog games. And my second console was the Game Boy Color. So even though I was born very late into the 1990s and basically grew up in the 2000s, I still had a slice of the 1990s.
Yeah, so you always get a little bit of a carryover, especially when you have older siblings.
Exactly.
And, your parents are combined stuff from that era.
Yeah.
So everything, and a lot of the technology's carried over as well.
Yeah, they're the reasons I even have a lot of the older stuff like the PS1 and Nintendo 64, and reason why I kept them for all these years. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. So Tetris already was included with the box.
You were about to buy an extra copy of that, weren't you?
Because I did not know that Tetris was even included. So
yeah, I was surprised that we actually opened it up in the store and I saw the game in there. I was like, wait a minute, you get a free copy of Tetris.
And I'm like, oh my god, I almost bought a second copy. And Mega Man was $30. I'm guessing it's one of the more classic and rare Game Boy games. So.
Probably. I remember hearing that the Game Boy Mega Mans were around parity, I think, with the NES version.
They're not as good as the NES versions, but I did hear the decent things about them.
Yeah, I think I had Mega Man 2 on the Game Boy.
Yeah, but still, that was pretty cool getting the original Mega Man on Game Boy.
So there you go. There was Vinny's pickup. So Super MarioZilla made out with clean, pristine box, DMG model Game Boy. And I was about to say advanced, but
hey, I don't care if it's not complete. I can always collect the extra stuff that came with this at a later point.
All right, so where do we go?
Yep, it works out.
So what did I get?
You got something that resonates with you.
Yeah, I did. But before I get to that, the trades you gave me.
Oh yeah.
So he was originally going to sell me these two N64 games, but there were some things that I had, such as some extra acrylic paints, some effect pieces from my figure collection that he was actually interested in, so I decided let's do a trade, and we agreed to the trade.
Yep.
And for all the stuff that I gave him, he gave me Donkey Kong 64, which, despite me loving the Banjo-Kazooie series to death, I've never actually played Donkey Kong Country 64. And this will be my first time experiencing it. I just need to get the expansion pack for the N64, and I'll be able to check it out. But I'm really happy that I finally have that, and it's in pristine shape. And he also traded me The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, which is the only Zelda game that I actually completed. I didn't play it on the N64 originally, I played it on the 3DS.
Oh.
So I enjoyed it on the 3DS, and I played it more out of obligation because everybody was like, what, you've never played Ocarina of Time before? Were you crazy? And I was like, yeah, well, I'm not a big Zelda guy.
Yeah.
So I decided to finally play through it in the 3DS, and I enjoyed it a lot, so I'm happy to have it on the N64.
Not to be one of those guys, but unlike some sellers I see on eBay, I actually took the liberty to clean up these cartridges because they weren't as nice looking now as they were before I gave it to him.
And these look great,
yeah.
if you ask me, especially the Donkey Kong, because the yellow cartridges tend to, like, you can really see the dirt on them.
Yeah.
I don't see any dirt on this whatsoever. Well, pleasure doing business with you, Vinny.
Pleasure doing business.
I needed to talk about this because this was something that I've been meaning to get for quite some time, and lo and behold, I finally did it. I bought the very first console that I ever played growing up was the Nintendo Entertainment System. And there it is. I ended up buying a bundle that they had going on. The bundle included the 2 controllers, OEM controllers.
Yeah, but one of those controllers in the A button is kind of wonky.
Yeah, the problem with these is that you could tell that they've been through hell. In fact, I need to open these up and clean them myself. Check the membranes on them and see if the membranes need to be replaced. Hopefully that shouldn't be an issue. I have fun actually opening those up and checking them out. It came with the RF connector as well, which I don't use. Thankfully, I have the composite adapter for it. And the power cable. The employee there did tell me the NES consoles are very finicky.
Especially the Model 1 NESs without the cartridge slot.
Everybody says the top loader version is better. Me personally though, I'm probably in the minority here, but I prefer the design of the original model.
No, you're not the only one. I actually also prefer this design.
It's just, I don't know, it's just got that classic vintage look to it. It's not as vintage as, say, as an Atari 2600, but just hearing that, it sounds like old tech. You know what I'm saying?
It feels like nostalgia.
Yeah, exactly. So it needs some cleaning. It definitely needs to be opened up. I'm looking forward to actually going in there and cleaning this sucker up, because technology like this, you know what I mean? They have stacks and stacks of NESs there, but this is the one that I picked out. It came with, you know, the games that I got with it. It also came with the Zapper. So, I have the Zapper again. Unfortunately, I can't seem to get it working on my CRT that I have. I'm guessing since it's the Sony Trinitron, one of the later models of CRTs.
I did tell him he can test it at my place since I have one of those rounded CRT screens. So you know, future Caesar, leave a editor's note in the bottom to let the audience know if it works or not.
Post-production Caesar here. We tested it out on Vinny's TV. It did not work either. I had to open the darn thing up and check inside just to find that this cable was actually detached on the inside. So once I reattached that baby, it was working good as new on my TV. So everything worked out. The bundles are priced differently. Some of them had 2 Mario games and like Tetris that were like $165. This one was $170 because it came with Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario Bros. 2.
Also known as Super Mario Bros. 2 USA, just in case somebody was going to point that out in the comments.
Yeah, like we don't already know, right? And Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt.
The classic combo card that was bundled with a lot of NES systems back in the day.
This is the most common game out there.
Yeah, it is. I know it's the most common game.
It's like a $4 game. Like if you spend more than $4 on something like this, you got charged up the ass for no reason.
Yeah, you got bamboozled.
You got bamboozled, unfortunately. Like I know Super Mario Bros. 2 is probably the most the priciest one of the three, but even so, these are still very common games.
They're still affordable games.
Yeah, and I've never actually owned Super Mario Bros. 2 on the NES before. I never actually played it on there. My first experience was on the Super Nintendo's All-Stars version, and I much prefer the 16-bit versions over the 8-bit versions of these games, but nostalgia. This was one of the very first games I ever played, Duck Hunt and Super Mario Bros. And Super Mario Bros. 3 was the last game I played on it.
And you're not the only one. My first experience with Mario 2, well, not the SNES version, it was the Game Boy Advance version, which was Super Mario Advance 1.
Super Mario Advance 1, which was my first Game Boy Advance game too, actually.
Yeah.
I got that at a Zellers in Nova Scotia, Canada one year. The 3 other games that I also picked up there today, and I decided to get these because I have some more coming in the mail from a claim sale, and they were Xevious, which we tried this one out, and it's
for some reason the sound is not working.
Yeah, I don't know. I gotta go in there.
And we know it's not the console, because the sounds on the rest of the games we tested work just fine.
Yeah, you know, it's actually interesting that you mentioned that, because when we first checked out the console, it was blinking red light, and I was like, oh god, here we go, the curse. The C's Arcade curse strikes again.
But turns out it was just because the pin connectors were not connecting properly.
Yeah, that's just the pin connector issue. Like, they have replacement pin connectors that you can buy for the 72 pins in the NES, or you can clean this one out, which is what I plan to do anyways and open it up, because I find that fun. Anyways, what else did I get? Xevious was $7. I picked up Rampage on the NES as well, because this is a classic game. I had to get the NES version of Rampage. No, that over there. No, that's covering your face at that point, I think.
Thanks!
Sorry, Vinny. I'm not used to having a co-star on my channel.
That's so good.
So, and then the last game I got was a sequel to the first NES game that I picked up recently, which was Star Tropics. This is Zoda's Revenge Star Tropics 2, and I paid $14 for this one. So overall I paid with tax around $213, which is pretty pricey. I do plan on selling some more figures, unfortunately, to make up some of that cost, and yeah, I gotta sell a hobby to fund a hobby, right?
Yeah, you gotta make sacrifices, especially since recently you've been slowly just getting more and more out of the figure game.
Yeah, it's just not.
You've been more to gaming recently.
Yeah, exactly. And so I figured, why not? There's some figures that I have that I got them because I was going through a phase, like a Marvel Legends phase, and it's just kind of like
they've just been collecting dust.
I don't need them.
I've had that phase too. You've seen me with the Mezco Gomez stuff.
Yeah.
And to my audience that's watching this, don't remind me.
And if you're looking for Gomez and Mezco stuff, he's selling some stuff
I still have a couple more figures for sale, in case anybody's interested.
So anyways, that's pretty much it for today's video. I mean, we got some pickups here that are pretty special to us, especially the DMG Game Boy. That box is insane. You just gotta remove those price labels very carefully.
Oh yeah, but because I know they will leave a mark if you're not careful.
Take your time. If you need my help, I'll help you out with that.
Sure.
Before you go. And so, got the NES, gonna go in there and clean that sucker up at some point today, check to see what needs to be fixed, if anything needs to be fixed at all. Definitely clean those controllers up. And, well, that's it for today's video. I thank you all for joining us. If you would like to see more Super MarioZilla, my cousin Vinny, I like to call him my cousin Vinny. This is my bro over here. Check his YouTube channel out at Super MarioZilla. The link will be in the description down below anyways, and pop it up at the top right corner of your screen. You can also check him out on Instagram as well as Twitter.
The Instagram and Twitter.
All the links will be down below in the description if you're interested, so definitely check him out.
Check out my Instagram for any of my toy photos or behind the scenes for my videos, as well as Twitter. And check out my YouTube channel for reviews and some occasional video game reviews, because I got one in the works. Just watch out.
Yeah, you actually have one already up on there, right?
I have two of them. I have Godzilla, Monster of Monsters on NES, and Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, which I actually got a review code for, so again, special thanks to Sega Movement for that one.
Look at you getting review codes for games, man! Who the heck are you, man? I'm the one who's the YouTube channel of video game. Where's my review codes? Anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. Remember, without further ado, good game and good night.